Good
Uh,
afternoon. This is Adolph Mongo, and we are Detroit in Black and White, our Thursday edition. How you doing, Allan Lengel
I'm
from
all right. I'm
Live
all right.
Detroit?
What's
It's just
happening?
us today. It's just us today,
All right, we can handle it.
and no question. If you want to see us, we on what platforms, Allan?
We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitter,
Are
LinkedIn.
we on? Are we on Apple?
We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on the podcast. What we have here is the video cast. The video cast is on all those platforms. The podcast is on any place where you get your podcast from, whether it's the Apple Podcast or any of the other podcast networks. You can call us up, Detroit in Black and White. So,
Okay, that asshole named Donald Trump came to Detroit, and he went to this black church, and and you know what pisses me off that the media made, oh, he's coming into the city. You know what, I give him credit. You know, Trump know how to play the game, but he went to a church that's on hard times, and I call it a jackleg preacher who want to get 5 minutes of whatever. They paid him a couple of dollars, and he sold his soul out.
right.
And so these folks that says all these black people flock to this church. If you went in the church, what was the majority of the people there?
I think it may have been half and half, at least half white, half black, but it
Yeah, well,
wasn't many. Here's
we had. Go ahead.
Here's interesting. Let me play this little video. The way they set up everything.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and it is my privilege to introduce to you the 45th and soon to be the 47th President of the United States.
I mean, you see, there's not a ton of. I mean, they put everyone up front there. There's probably more media than there was.
Well,
A lot of the congregants were like,
Lengel, listen, and I grew up in the black church, and when I was growing up, they used to have these services on TV. You can go to channel whatever and watch them, but they never showed the audience. They always showed the preacher, and they had a
right.
few people in the background because there was not a lot of people there. Now, they didn't want to show what folks was there. They had all kind of Nazis and white supremacists that came to Detroit, and they wanted to have their little powwow in the midst of a Democratic stronghold. What I had a problem with is that where was the Democratic leadership? Now, when I worked for Coleman Young back in the day, they could have never done that.
Yeah.
They would have never done that. They would have never came. They would have never came. One, listen, when the tow trucks would have came and towed away all the cars over in front of the churches. Two, they would have never been able to rent Huntington Place or Como or any of these other places. Well, you know the game. They would have put all kind of pressure on these folks. They wouldn't have came into the city. When Coleman Young was pissed at Jesse Jackson, he ran Jesse Jackson out of here on several occasions. So here we got Donald Trump coming in here. That's like Ronald Reagan would have came in here and beat up on the city. Right. Donald Trump called this a hellhole, said it was one of the worst cities in America, and yet we have this little jackleg preacher sitting up there because you know what? He wanted to get his 5 minutes or whatever, and he got it.
Right.
You know,
right. And he was on MSNBC the next day,
right,
talking about why he wants to hear everybody's what they got to say. Here's some. Deadline Detroit had a videographer out there, and here's what some of the people had to say.
Phenomenal for black voting, absolutely. And there was things I wanted to talk to him about, because I'm a truck driver for 16 years, and I see where the supply chains are breaking down, but obviously I didn't get a chance to do that.
Absolutely. He was good for black folks when he was best friends with Jesse Jackson back in the day.
Absolutely. Especially compared to Biden. I mean, Biden ain't even, I don't even know if he can even think on his own.
Where they find these assholes from?
Yeah.
Where do they find these assholes from? And you know what? He was best friends with Jesse Jackson in the day. Trump is a fucking wannabe dictator. I'm gonna tell you. And I look at history, and I look at what Hitler did in Germany. He wanted to just wipe out a whole group of people. Can you imagine Jews, a Jewish ancestor saying, "I'm with Hitler because I like what he's doing." Right. And we know that there were World War I veterans, Jewish World War I veterans from that was German, that fought in the First World War. They burned them up. They said, "I'm a German. I'm proud to be a German." Right. But that didn't matter. And Trump duped these people and saying, "Oh, Trump was great." What had Trump done? Trump is a racist, a bigot. He doesn't even like the white people that like him.
Right.
You know, he's an elitist. He's a thief.
He's shitting on all those people out there when he goes to all these rallies in rural America and all these, these people, the working class people. He shits on them, and yet they buy into it. They buy into his grandness that he's a wealthy man, that he's out for it. He pretends to be part of against the man. He is the man. Here, let's read a couple readers' comments. We've got Eric Brown. Adolph, is that any different from the black preachers selling their souls to the Democratic Party?
No, it's not any different. But, Democrats are not going to put black folks in concentration camps if they have to.
And here's Burnell Bird, who says, how do folk, particularly black folk, feel about getting behind a fraudulent white dude who you have to blow smoke up his ass, play to his ego, and be loyal to him? I think that's pretty well put.
I agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, look, it's interesting. He went from this black church where there were a lot of white people there. I mean, I think a lot of the congregants were it was a church 180 on Stansbury on the far.
Bullshit church. And the guy is in the midst of a legal battle.
Yeah.
Who controlled the church?
Oh, okay.
He probably got 10 people or 100 people that come to the church. Listen, you ever go to a funeral? I'm gonna tell you about black funerals. Uh-huh. Sometimes you have a Baptist minister that's doing a eulogy at a funeral, and he says, "You know what? Believe in Jesus. Come on up here, save your soul, and all this. And I was with the family, and y'all got some problems." And then they go after the weakest link in the family. Come up here and save your soul. They put a chair up by the pulpit, and it's always the weakest, the ones that ain't done shit. This is what Trump is good at. This shit. He go into a community and he get the weakest, the worst folks that don't have shit. They come in there, they pay this guy a couple $100, and say, "You know what, we need you." So they trot him out there. Now, what's going to happen? These folks is going to have to pay the price. The guy that owns Table 2 down in Greektown, he was already having problems with that restaurant down there.
Yeah.
Now he's saying, oh, under Biden, he blaming Biden for not getting customers. That's bullshit. If your food was better, you would have customers.
Have you been there?
Yeah, and it was terrible.
Yeah. Well, that probably accounts for something. You know, then it's interesting that he went from this black church later on to really this right-wing / fascist conference gathering at the Huntington Place, where they had Steve Bannon, they had My Pillow, Mike Lindell, they had Marjorie Taylor Greene, they had Matt Gaetz, and on outside they had David Duke, who was protesting because they wouldn't let his even more fascist friend inside the convention. I mean, it's attracting. You see the extremists that they're attracting there, and they're going. It's almost like, okay, we did the black thing. Let's go down. I mean, the thing at the Huntington Place was not to attract black voters. It was purely for the very right wing.
If the Republicans were smart and they wanted to get black voters, damn, why would you always want to have a black person that hate themselves, that's attack other black people? Donald, the congressman out of Florida, he might as well put a robe on and be a KKK member, because this is what they talk about. They want a black person that don't like themselves. That's like if I'm Jews for Jesus. You know what? Yeah, okay, I'm with you. Hey, man, that's some bullshit. And you know what? You're not buying into that shit.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, you know, I mean, Eric is saying that, you know, why should blacks just, you know, go toward the Democratic candidate like Biden?
Well, I'm not saying, but why should they go with somebody that want to put them in a concentration camp or suppress the vote? Listen, Republicans have went out of their way to make sure that black folks don't vote, can't read a book, can't do whatever. Man, it's ridiculous. And you know what?
You look at what's happening around the country. Down in Texas, they tried to close the number of voting places in black areas. They try in big cities where there are heavily, you know, a predominant black populations. They've tried to limit the days of voting, tried to make it tougher, you know, limit the polls and stuff like that, make it tougher and tougher for people to vote. They've had those robocalls where they call people up and say, you know, Tuesday is not the day to vote, Wednesday is the day for Democrats to vote. All this kind of crap that goes on. I mean, it's just really underhanded bullshit because they can't win fairly. And
well, they got a candidate for Secretary of State in the state of Missouri. She's an immigrant from Colombia. This bitch says anybody black that don't like what we doing, go back to Africa. Here's a woman that came from Colombia and saying that only white males build up this country.
Right.
I'm like, damn. You know what? I'm missing something here. Yeah. And she's the Republican candidate for Secretary of State. This is what we got to do. You know, man, it's mind blowing, Allan, that what we're facing, and I might not like a lot of things that the Democratic Party and they'll put themselves in this position.
Right. No,
I'll be damned if I would go over there and say I'm with Trump and I like what he's doing. I'm offended that people said, "Oh, Trump, he's a felon. Black people identify with him." That is bullshit.
Right. There was a poll that came out about that where it was a pretty high percentage of black people were offended that he had said, "Oh, black people relate to me because I've, been charged with felonies and they get me."
He's the one that wanted the Central Park Five executed, and they didn't even do the shit. And no question. Let's take a break. We come back. We continue this conversation. Allan Lengel, Adolph Mongo. This is our Thursday edition to Detroit in Black and White.
Because I live in Detroit, I was able to get tuition-free college through the Detroit Promise. I feel very fortunate working with the Detroit Promise. They were able to afford me so many opportunities. I'm currently studying media production and journalism at University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm looking to take my talents further into the production industry, short films. I love working with people here, and this is where I want to be. And that's why I'm Detroit for life.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
What's on your mind?
What are the issues facing you and your families today?
Before we ask for your vote, Elissa Slotkin wants to hear about your concerns.
Democrat Elissa Slotkin is running for U.S. Senate, and she wants to have a real conversation about your issues.
Is it support for our small businesses, funding for our schools, good-paying jobs, or opportunities for our youth?
Elissa is already building a campaign around listening.
It's how she shapes her agenda in Congress.
And why Elissa's already been endorsed by small business owners, pastors, and leaders from our community.
We know too many campaigns come to us right before the election and ask for our vote.
That's not Elissa. She has a reputation for listening and delivering.
And this is your chance to help shape the agenda in Washington.
Make your voice heard. Go to elissaslotkin.org/community.
Because in this campaign, your ideas come first.
I'm Elissa Slotkin, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Slotkin for Michigan.
All right.
You know what? And listen, Hill Harper, who we have had on the show, who I like a lot, saying that he's getting the short end of the stick by not being able to have a debate.
What do you think about that?
Well, you know what? Listen, it's smart that she's not debating him, but if she debated him, she's going to have to deal with Hill Harper supporters. So she should treat him right. Listen, listen, she's the front runner. She got all the money.
Yeah.
I don't think, it would hurt her to debate him. I think she should debate Hill Harper, but I'm not running her campaign.
Right. I agree with you. It bothered me when Duggan ran against Anthony Adams, and Anthony Adams just pulled off really just a poor campaign. And so Duggan felt no need to, as opposed to when Coleman Young Jr. ran against him, he did.
And he got spanked. But he got spanked at the debate. But he had a better organization. He had more money, and it was just a little setback. He was embarrassed a little bit, but he debated him. With Anthony Adams, he I don't even listen, man. Get out of my face. And I think that's not a good look. Right. For the Congresswoman.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, look, she's going to have it's going to be a tougher campaign against Mike Rogers. And,
right.
She's going to need unity.
Hill Harper. She's going to need Hill Harper. Yeah.
And some of the particularly in the city of Detroit, where I don't know where the polling is on that with her and Hill Harper, but I think it's fair to the voters to debate at least once to let people know what the issues are. I think one of the concerns is that Hill Harper has, at least according to the Free Press, made some allegations about her campaign that they say are untrue. and so you have to deal with that sometimes if somebody brings it up in a debate, but you can correct them and respond to that. I think, I think every candidate should, if one candidate really wants to debate, I think there should be a debate. I think, I'm looking forward to, although it's probably going to be a shit show, this, I think Thursday, when Trump and Biden debate.
Well, I'm real upset that Bobby Kennedy Jr. is not in the debate. This guy, I thought he had his campaign together. Obviously, he imploded.
Yeah.
Because he's only on the ballot in 10 states, and he's going to be a non-factor right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting. The Libertarian candidate in 2016, when Hillary lost by 10,704 votes, the Libertarian candidate got 150,000 votes. I think his last name was Johnson. And Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, got 50,000 votes. So there could be a little wiggle room there. And the question is, there's a debate whether RFK Jr. will take away from Trump or will take away from Biden. And some say it'll take away more from Trump, but who knows?
Well, there's no question about it. Let's move to Michigan.
All right.
I keep hearing all these people that's supposed to run for mayor of Detroit. What have you heard?
I mean, you're hearing obviously Mary Sheffield's already announced. I don't know what, it's interesting. I can't imagine Duggan going for a fourth term. I'd be really surprised if he did. I don't know. What's your thought there? I mean, Gilchrist, they say he's going to run for governor. I don't know if he'd have a better shot at winning.
Well, you got names that's popping up out there. Santil Jenkins.
What do you think about that?
I like her. I like her. She's a factor in this race. Dennis Archer Jr. He has some pluses and he has a lot of minuses.
I don't know a lot about him. What would you say are the pluses and minuses there?
Well, the plus is his name. The minuses is his name. There's no question about it.
And I know he's got some interest in the business right there in the First National building, in the restaurant there. I don't really know much about what he's about. I haven't gotten a really strong sense. I mean, I feel like his father started out strong, and it felt like his father just gave up. He just lost his juice and decided this was too much to fix a city like this, and just sort of gave up.
He wasn't up to the task. So
it's a tough job. It's a tough.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that whoever get elected mayor and succeed Duggan, they're gonna have to pay the bills. And the bills are going to be due. And at this point, you tell me who's going to pay them. Detroit, right now, everybody it's a feel good time. It's like taking a credit card and spending all the money, going on the trips and shit. The next month, American Express want their fucking money. You got a $10,000 bill in the city's spot. You got a $10 million, $20 million. You need to pay it.
And what do you think is going to happen? I mean,
can't go bankrupt again.
Yeah. And tell me, what do you think the factor is with Dan Gilbert, in the success of the city?
Well, where are they going to put all this? How are they going to fill up these buildings? I'm trying to. Who's going in it? Where the retail at? Do we know something we don't know? Is a Somerset gonna close down and all the stores gonna move down to Detroit? All right, I'm asking you this.
Yeah, I
Are
don't.
we gonna get Apple stores and Saks and Saks coming back and Neiman Marcus and all this shit?
I think.
Are we gonna be Chicago downtown, New York?
You know what? I think we were headed there pre-pandemic, but now so many people working from home, the occupancy rate in the office buildings is far less. I mean, look, when back before the pandemic, the office buildings were really full, and so you have this natural built-in audience of customer base where, you know, people take a lunch break, they go after work, they go to the Apple store, they go to, you know, the Nike store, and now some of that base is gone. And so I don't know. The restaurants some of them seem to be doing really well, and, you know, some of them obviously went out of business, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I mean, look, the train station announced the opening. There's not one retail shop in there yet. I think they're hoping.
Well, you know what? You know, Detroit do it wrong, man. I go to other places where they build a retail first, and then they build a housing.
Well, that's what Gilbert did on Woodward. That's what Gilbert did on Woodward. When you look at that whole strip of Woodward, it used to be boarded up buildings. They brought in all this high-end retail, and now they're putting in some of the houses.
Well, but they need to be building up these neighborhoods, etc. But what I'm worried about is we got an election, a presidential election coming up in November. Who are the Pied Pipers of the Democratic Party that's going to get these people out to vote? Listen, the Republicans have took a playbook from Coleman Young. When we used to go out and campaign, we knocked on doors where people had a yard sign that somebody other than Coleman Young, and we knocked on that door. That's what Trump did. I'm coming into your stronghold.
Right.
I don't care if I got 5 people out. He gonna put all his people in here. And the Democrats, what did they do? They didn't do anything. They let them come in. Coleman Young and the other folks that I knew, they all gone. They all unleft us. They would have beat the shit out of these folks.
How about just countering by making sure you come to the churches? It seems to be. I mean, we need, you know, Hillary. Like I say, in 2016, I remember covering one of her speeches over at Wayne State University, and I was thinking, why is she here at Wayne State University? Why isn't she going into the neighborhood?
Right.
You know, and saying you've been to Detroit. Well,
listen, Coleman Young went to a church one time. I went with him. They had 10 people at the church. And I asked the mayor, I said, there's only 10 people here. He said, you know, I know the minister. He said, I've been knowing him for 30 years. He said, these 10 people, that's 1,000 votes out there.
Yeah.
He was counting. And then he go to the bigger churches or whatever. But man, you know what? Trump did. He got the attention. He went into Detroit, a place he called a shithole, a place he said they stole votes, a place he beat up on the people. But yet, you know, when they got through with it, damn, it was a success.
Right. Well, Karen's right, you know, but when you go, the problem with going to some of the commuter universities is that you're getting a lot of suburbanites there when you need to really go. I mean, Karen's right. I mean, U of D, I'd prefer, you know, U of D over Wayne State there, but still, I think the Democrats always seem to miss the point. They do take advantage of the idea. They go, don't worry about it. we've got the Democratic vote here. We need to go into Macomb more. We need to go into Grand Rapids more.
Oh, they don't even go. They don't even go into Macomb because 2 years ago, if they would have gave money to Lengel, he would have been the congressperson.
Right.
And they didn't. I don't. You know what? How do you? I talked to some young folks the other day, and one of the persons, and we're gonna have. I told her we're gonna have her on the Saturday show. She said, "Who should I vote for?" She said, "In 2016, I voted for Hillary Clinton." She said, "In 2020, I voted for Trump." This is a black young lady in her 20s. She said, "Now I don't want to vote for Trump because he's a racist. He all this, but I really don't want to vote for Biden."
Right.
She said, "Because you tell me who to vote for." Man.
Who do you think for VP? Who do you see him picking for VP? Trump.
You know what? It's Trump. He's not normal. He's not normal.
Right.
And if he was smart, he's not smart. If he was smart, he would get a person of color or a woman.
Yeah. But he's not. You know, I think he's a racist. I think, you know, they talk about
he can't help it.
Tim Scott. He's not going to pick him.
No,
he's not going to pick you know, the one
Brian Donald.
Yeah, he's not going to pick him. He's going to pick somebody like from Ohio, Senator
J.D. Vance.
Yeah, J.D. Vance. Somebody
that guy crazy than a fuck.
Yeah. He's going to pick somebody who's I just can't imagine him picking a black vice president because I think it's just, I mean, you know, Tim Scott, I mean, first of all, Tim Scott's such a suck up on top of it all that I think it even turns Trump's stomach the way he sucks up to him at that level. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to you know, hear somebody who says Kwame Kilpatrick. There you go.
Well, but you know what? I'll tell you how they use Kwame Kilpatrick. Kwame Kilpatrick, you know what? I'm not mad at him because Trump is the only person that would let him out of jail. You know, so he owed him one.
Right,
so,
right.
You know.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, Eric's saying Nikki Haley, and I think Nikki Haley would be super strong, but she would be a super fool to join. I mean, it'd be interesting if he were to pick her, and then the Democrats could just take all her political ads and all her statements
and just use it.
Right, and just trash them. So I think he can't go down that road, but it would be a powerful pick because there's a whole part of the population that doesn't want Trump but would take her. So I don't know. I guess we shall see. So I think we are coming close to the end here.
Well, we are. And your final thought, Allan?
My final thought is I'm looking forward on Thursday to the debate. I think it's a better opportunity for Biden than it is for Trump. I think Trump's incapable of behaving, and I think Biden, if Biden can, you know, do what he did in the State of the Union and survive that, I think it'll be a strong showing. If not, who knows? But I'm looking forward. It's always good entertainment.
Well, my final thought is, who is the Pied Piper of the Democratic Party? Where is Mayor Duggan? Because he is the face of the Democratic Party in Detroit. Yeah. Gretchen Whitmer is the face of the Democratic Party in the state. Yeah. And they have not been around. You know, they've been out and about. But if the party is gonna win Michigan, they have to get out and they gotta get these people fired up because these young people I'm hearing too many young black people
Mm-hmm.
saying, I like Trump. I like how he talks. And I'm like, do you know his history? Do you know where this asshole is coming from?
Right.
And they don't care.
It's frightening. I just find it, look, Joe Biden may not be the best pick that we could get in the Democratic Party, but in the Republican Party, we know that Trump is not the best pick, and yet here it is.
Ain't no question. This is Detroit in black and white, Thursday edition. Listen, one day we're gonna get Vanessa Moss to come on there, because we're gonna talk about at least petitions and how people they don't want to have these judicial races. They just want to kick people off the ballot and stuff. And there's 2 bills that's in Lansing now that's trying to deal with this situation. Teresa, Jim, we'll see you on Saturday. Allan Lengel.
All right.